Christine is a personal development expert, a published author, speaker, and trainee consultant with a demonstrated broad-based strength in training and capacity building. She has over 15 years of progressive experience in inspirational speaking and training consultancy with a specialization in the personal development. So if you have some problems to develop yourself, you know we have one of the key guys in the house: public speaking, business etiquette, and the likes. She has addressed several conferences, and when you follow out the YouTube, you will be able to see which conferences she's been in. And when you are looking for her to speak to us, I went to one of our YouTube lines, and the photos, I saw she was doing a conference at a place we had a conference, you know. And then Joyce, I told you I saw the carpet, and that carpet reminded me of Trademark. So I saw her doing a talk there. So Christine holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Kenyatta University and a diploma from the Global Entrepreneurs Institute. She is the director and the owner of Soft Skills Limited. So this morning, she's speaking to us. I need us to open our eyes, to open our ears. Guys following online, this is the year we are tekete. So to usher in Christine, I need us to affirm our billion. When I say 2022, what do you say? It is me, myself, I and I, you know? So you are allowed to be personal this time round. 2022,
I am unstoppable.
2022,
I can take 1 million.
2022, I'm focusing on my billion
With passion,
purpose, and prowess. So welcome, Christine.
Wow, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. A great pleasure to meet you all. When I walked in, I was telling everybody I'm finally putting a face to the name, because like Catherine said, we met last year online, but it's a great pleasure to be here. The energy in this room. I've learned one thing right now. I'm going to develop a song as well. I'm not going to be standing without a song. In future, and watch this space. You know, you follow me on YouTube, so you will see that I will pick up a song, because I was so energized as I sat here. It's a great, great pleasure to meet all of you. It's been 2 years of us talking to people. I call it 1,000 ways to Zoom. So when we now begin to get these opportunities to meet people in person, it's an absolute great privilege, because the connection we make with somebody in person is very different from the connection we make online. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a very, very lovely day for me to be here. Today I'm going to be speaking to you on the subject, your dreams are true. Your dreams are true. Remember, I did not say your dreams will come true or your dreams are likely to come true. I said your dreams are true. I picked up from some of the managers who spoke here, and I liked what that gentleman said there. Arise and shine, the glory has come. Not the glory is going to come or the glory is likely to come, the glory has come. So we are talking about your dreams being true. There's a movie I like to watch, and I would recommend this movie. It's called The 1 Minute Mile. I was reminded of this movie as I was listening to the presentations as we went along, and that movie talks about the first human being ever to run a mile within a minute. That was, I think, in the 1930s. No human being had ever run a mile within a minute. And so when this gentleman, his name escapes me right now, but when he ran the mile in a minute, see, remember it had never been done. Have you done a billion before? No. But as soon as he finished, 5 or 6 other people ran a minute mile within that same year. In other words, it became visible, it became doable. Remember, everything that you haven't achieved yet already exists. You just haven't experienced it yet, you haven't caught it yet. It already exists. Why am I able to say that? Because on the 6th day, God finished creation. There is no creation ever going to happen again. Everything we are praying for, every money we are trying to earn, everything we are trying to do is already on earth. All we have to do is to experience it. All we have to do is achieve it. Nothing is going to be created anymore. So we are able to, as long as we are believing now. I want to talk about the word belief here for a minute. I want to talk about the word belief. At one point, a few years ago, I was addressing a conference in South Africa. And when the conference was over, we went on a trip. We were taking a few excursions into the tourist destinations. And I was in a group of about 50 people. And so we went about 50 kilometers out of Johannesburg to a place called the Cradle of Humankind. It's called a difficult name, the Sterkfontein Caves. I'm not very good with that name. It's about 50 kilometers out of Johannesburg. And we visited the Cradle of Humankind. It's where they discovered fossils of humans that have evolved. Some of the fossils they were talking about are 2.3 million years old. And I'm sure all of you are already glazing out, those the non-scientific Kamwangas, and I'm one of you. And so I'm in this group, and we have a tour guide who is taking us around, and he's telling us about all of these fossils. And he was a young white man. He looked at all of us and he said, Africans don't seek to understand. Africans believe. I was very offended, and I'm sure you would be too. Africans don't seek to understand. Africans believe. Why do you think I was offended? Why would you have been offended if you had been in the group with me? Anybody? The reason I was offended is because it's true. Most of the time, if I tell you something about yourself that is offensive, chances are, if it's true, it's going to hurt, right? It's going to cut your heart somewhere. The reason I was so hurt about that story is because I realized it is true. Because even in the conversation, as he gave all those details about the fossils, about the million years ago, I was really not paying attention. I was just taking his word for it. Okay, if you say so, you know? There's a big difference between the things you believe and the things you know. And if you forget everything I say here today, keep in mind that your life is not altered, is not changed by the things you believe. Your life is changed by the things you know. And we're going to break down the difference just now. Now, at one point, my daughters, she did not mention, and my profile mentioned that I'm the mother of 4 daughters. They have now grown. But when my firstborn are twins, and when they were in kindergarten, you know how they look, the little cute things with red ribbons on their heads? They were going to kindergarten one fine morning. And that Sunday, our preacher had told us, our church has put up a new sanctuary. And they planted a garden, and it's becoming very expensive to water it. And the pastor had mentioned in church, please let's pray for rain this week. What do children faithfully do when they are told by the pastor to pray? They pray. And so that morning, my daughter prays and tells God, please send rain so that the church grass will grow. And then when she was leaving for school, the school bus has pulled up and she's leaving for school. She says, can I please have my umbrella? You know the 2 little colored umbrellas that little children like to carry? She said, can I please have my umbrella? We told God we wanted him to send rain. She did not believe that there was going to be rain. She knew that there was going to be rain. Belief is not what you have been told. Belief is what you have experienced. Belief is not what has come from outside. Belief comes from within. Knowledge. Belief comes from outside. Somebody tells you that this and this and this will happen. That is belief. You will take their word for it. That is belief. But knowledge comes from within. So a lot of the things that we make up our minds to do and don't get so serious about them, chances are we have not yet known. It has not come from us. It's coming from somebody else. So your results are going to come from what you know a lot more than they are going to come from what you experience. Let me tell you something that a lot of you might recognize. Mtoto akililia wembe. For those of you who may not speak Kiswahili, that means if a child is crying for a razor blade, what do? Give them. Why would you say give a child the razor blade? Because they are going to experience why you're saying no. Any parents in the room?
Yes.
Do children cry for things that are bad for them?
Yes.
The best thing is to tell them, oh, you want to touch the hot burner? Touch it. As you take the hand closer, they will discover This is not comfortable, true? So, the way you believe anything is if you can experience it. I'm currently in a class and our teacher said something that really spoke to my heart. He said he was a smoker for 20 years, and anybody who has ever been a smoker knows it's very difficult to stop smoking. He actually wanted to stop smoking as soon as he started. A few months into becoming a smoker, he discovered this is not a good thing I'm doing, and he started trying to stop. And he tried all sorts of different ways to try and stop. He tried a patch, he went to a doctor and was given a pill, he tried to put a fake cigarette in his finger, he tried everything. But none of that was working, he was still going back to smoking. And then finally, he went within. He was taught by a teacher who was teaching metaphysics that if you can experience it, it would alter your life. And so he sat down and he felt the feeling of not changing. Occasionally we will be motivated not by the vision of success, but by replaying the consequence of not changing. And so in his mind, remember I said he went within. He had already done the without. He had tried all sorts of remedies and none of that had worked. And so he went within and he visualized his lungs black. He felt the feeling of having lung cancer. He felt it. Now, there's a lot of things we can take from you. We can take your job, we can cut off your arms, we can take your family from you. There's a lot of things that can be taken from you. The one thing that cannot be taken from you is your thoughts. What goes on within you cannot be affected by anybody. I'm sure you have had young people being told this, or usually it's told by girls. It's told to girls. I don't know why guys are not told this. As girls, we're usually told, don't marry him to change him. Have you heard that, ladies? Don't marry him to change him. And those of us who have tried to know that you'd never marry him to change him, it doesn't change. Okay? The reason you can't change a human being is this. A human being can change themselves. True or false? Especially an adult. An adult can change themselves. There's very little I can do. I have 4 children and 3 of them are adults. We now run a democracy in my house. We would like to do this. I remember at one point being invited for a family event. And my cousin told me, how many of your children would come? Because he's raising adults as well and he knows. These are not the days we used to be told, we are having lunch on Saturday, come with your children. They have a life of their own, true? I really cannot make a commitment here that I will come here with my family. I have to consult them what I do because they are adults with lives of their own. And so you can never ever affect an adult unless he chooses to affect himself. So what we need to be asking ourselves is, how am I able to affect myself? How am I able to change myself? And that's what we're talking about, going within. He no longer felt any desire to smoke. He no longer, after he went through that experience, he went into subconscious and he experienced, he felt all the feelings of having lung cancer. He did not need to wait for it to physically hit him. He had no further desire to smoke. His smoking habit ended there. I have a friend who was studying for a doctorate degree, commonly known in Kenya as a PhD, and everybody is doing a PhD currently. A lot of people are doing PhDs that I know. And this particular lady had several full-time jobs. She had a full-time job where she worked, she had a full-time job raising her children, and now she picked up her PhD. It was crazy. She says it was the most difficult thing that she ever did because she had to study late into the night. Sometimes she would sleep 2 hours, sometimes she wouldn't sleep at all, sometimes she would literally say her head is buzzing because she's having to shift from her office duties to her home duties to her study, and it was the craziest, hardest thing she had ever done. And later on she told us, and she told us this at the party, she told us, you guys, this party is how I was able to finish this degree. This party happened in my mind a long, long time ago. She went within. Whenever she needed to find that energy within ourselves. Most of us are salespeople, are we not? Our day-to-day job is sales, yours and mine. Do we wake up on a day we don't feel like?
Yes.
Do we wake up on a day it's raining and gloomy? Do we wake up on a day you call the first 5 people and nobody is keeping their appointment? Do you wake up on the day your client keeps you an hour and a half waiting? There is the bad day, right? There is a day when you need to get your energy from within because none of the circumstances in your without are energizing you. So you want to go within. And she said she saw each one of us at her graduation party. She felt the feeling of being at the graduation party. She had the congratulations. She felt the hugs of us telling her, well done. And that is what gave her the energy to go the extra mile to do what she had never done before. Let me give you a personal example here. At one point in my life, I had a dream car. Anyone ever had a dream car? Bucket list, you must drive this car or die trying. I had that car. Now, I usually see some people making their profile picture a car. Can I give you a little clue? If your profile picture is a car, you're viewing it from outside. You're admiring it in traffic. You need to go within, okay? You need to feel the feeling of driving that car. It was very unreasonable of me at that point, at that season in my life, to be even dreaming about a car. But dreams are not reasonable. Are they reasonable? We've just seen numbers here from 2020. Did you acquire those numbers because 2020 was a good year?
No.
Dreams are not reasonable. So I wanted the car. And what I decided to do was to feel the feeling of driving the car. First of all, with no money to back it, I went and did a test drive. I test drove about 5 of them to get the feeling. I had never driven that particular car in my life. I needed to drive it. Do you agree with me? It was, like I said, it was a bucket list item. And so I caught a picture of myself holding the steering. I got the feeling. You want to engage as many senses as possible when you're dealing with your dreams. Because you have agreed your dreams are here on earth. God has finished creation. God is not going to be creating anything new, okay? So the thing you're dreaming about is here already. You just have to experience it, all right? So feel the feeling. I have told you that we can take everything away from you. We cannot take your thoughts from you. I felt the feeling of driving that car. I promise you, I saw that car in my backing. So that when I finally saw it physically, it looked very familiar. I had seen it there so many times. I had driven it so many times. And you want to do this, especially when you're now, I'm going into details of this, and we can do this in a training because I do trainings for this particular kind of goal achievement and all that. But what you do is you want to feel these feelings as you fall asleep in the evening. Let your last thoughts be the thoughts of your dream actualized. Because when we talk about numbers, if I stand up and say 50 million, those are zeros. They don't necessarily speak to your emotion, okay? They don't necessarily speak to your emotion. You want to get a picture of what this 50 million looks like for you, okay? What it will change about your life. If there's a school you want to take your children, drive to that school. Is there any part of this that is unclear? I know somebody who wanted his son to go to Surrey Boys, and he went and bought the uniform and put it up in the child's bedroom. Ordinary things don't achieve extraordinary results. You want to do, there's a speaker who says, to achieve what you've never achieved, you have to do something you've never done. In fact, let me quote verbatim Les Brown, who says that you have to be willing to do today what others won't do in order to have tomorrow what others won't have. Make a habit of driving through your favorite neighborhood. It's free of charge to drive through. It's free of charge to drive through. I have an example of that. There's a road I call my favorite road in Nairobi. My children, if you ask my children which is mom's favorite road, they will tell you. It's been my favorite road for a few years. It's cabro paved. It has got lights on both sides. It's got trees on both sides. It's got nice flowery gardens on all sides. I used to find every excuse to drive through there. Like I would take an extra roundabout just to drive through there and go where I'm going. Today that road is my way home. I drive there almost every day, and I tell God, and you know the things you can do, no man can do. You have to be able to become physical, to become engaged, to become emotional about the dreams that you're dreaming. Otherwise, they will never come true. Let me tell you another car story. At another time in my life, I needed to sell a car. And sometimes a car, especially a used one, and I had had that one particular one for about 6 years. It's not the easiest thing to sell. And so I advertised, and you know me, I'm a speaker, and therefore I'm church, and you know, I'm saying I'm going to sell this car in a week. I call a few agents and I tell them I'm selling this car, I send them pictures, I'm selling this car. The first person to come and look at the car deflated me badly. You know the way you make an appointment with a prospect? He comes and he's on the phone. He looks at the car. He did not get off the phone. He looked at the car, went round the car and walked away. And I had dechored, had I not? I had said I'm selling this car within a week. I was like, oh my God. The second person to call me about the car started negotiating the price and making appointments and breaking appointments and negotiating the price without coming to see the car. Is that a buyer? That is when I decided to go with him. I decided, seriously, this car needs to go, and at that point I needed the money badly. And therefore I went with him, and I caught a vision of myself selling that car. I saw the car driving away. Remember I said, a picture being your profile picture, a picture of whichever car that is, will not motivate you because those are just good thoughts, okay? Those are just good thoughts, that is just you admiring it. It's not giving you the feeling. I caught the feeling of handing over the key. I caught the feeling and I said, I'm going to meet somebody who will take one look at this car, pay me and go with it. Same day. No assessment, no bringing a mechanic, no doing what. Same day, transaction finished. That morning, my daughter asked me, Mom, are you busy? I want to borrow this car. I told her, this car is sold. Please find another way of going where you're going. She took an Uber and went wherever she was going. And that afternoon, I was called and told that I was coming from out of town and wanted to look at my car. Remember, I had given it to a few agents. And we agreed where to meet and everything. And then a man said, I'm coming, and he kept me about 5 or 10 minutes. And I look through the mirror and I see a man approaching from the back with his expectant wife. Do you think I have my buyer? They have come from out of town. Their main method of going back to their town is this car. Have I mentioned that I had long lost the logbook? I had had this car for a long time. So they test the car, they look at the car, they're like, do you have the documents for this car here in this car? And I said, actually, I have no idea where the logbook for this car is. I tried to look for it this morning and I couldn't find it. Long story short, we agreed that he pays me the money, less a small amount, and then a week or two later we replaced the logbook and I gave it to him. I could go into a lot of details about that transaction went, about how unlikely that transaction was to be, about all the things that were negative, that were making this an unlikely event. But this car got sold because I had gone with him, because I had seen it. Guys, we are made in the image of God. I like to think about it this way. The reason God stopped creation on the 6th day, because he had created the next creator. We are the creators of our lives. Our lives are not created by the economy, they are not created by your neighbor, they are not created by your neighborhood, your background, all the excuses you would like to make. None of that creates your life. Your life is created by your consciousness, by your within, by your thoughts, by those things that you feel before they become real. Because if you can feel it, if you can touch it, I promise you it will become real. I promise you, I do not have enough time to tell you all the stories of all the experiences that I have had. As I walked in here this morning, one of your colleagues told me something I really loved. I told her this is the best thing you could possibly have said to me. She said you look very different from your pictures. Because like I say, I had not met any of you before this morning physically. And so she said you look very different. And I said, oh my God, different how? She said, one, you're taller than you look on camera. And also you're much smaller. Ladies, I did not look like this when we last spoke. I did not look like this at all. I have shed a lot of size. This is how I shed size. I went to a particular event. You know the way you're invited for an event and you're told, we are going to be wearing this color. Ladies, is this familiar? You're going to this party and you're told the color code is this. And so I said, oh, that's okay, I'm okay. Because I have that dress in my closet. Familiar, ladies? On the day of the event, I go to the closet. I try to wear the dress, which was okay 2 months ago, and I went through that entire event doing this. Ladies will relate. The dress was no longer fitting me, so it finally hit me. I've put on a lot of COVID weight. We were working from home, we were not living. I would sit at my desk 11 hours. We were simply not moving an inch. My body could tell you that I have not been moving. And so I got angry. Remember when we said Nobody can change you but you. At that event, I was in a very undersized dress, and when the pictures came out, I looked terrible. And I decided enough was enough. And so it's in my mind that I am trying to lose. During that week, I had a speaker say that if you can see it in your mind, the same message that I'm giving you, you can actualize it. And he gave the example of weight. If you're trying to lose weight, and I said, yeah. Is that the way you think that the speaker knows you? And so he said, go and stand in the mirror naked. See yourself not as you look now, but as you would like to look. As I stand here, I do not know whether I did that physically or in my mind, but I did it so vividly. I looked in the mirror and I saw who I would like to see, rather than who I was seeing right there. And I forgot about it. I got the feeling. I got the feeling of being smaller, of people being, wow, oh my goodness, you look so nice, you look so much smaller. I got that feeling within. That same week, I received an email from a trainer that I receive a lot of emails from, and that day I decided to open it. All these things will align if you've got this feeling in your mind. Once you have set this goal, once you have said, I'm going to achieve this thing, you have worn the outfit, you have felt the hugs, you have had, you have smelled, you have tasted, then you will begin to catch hints. Something will happen in the universe that will lead you towards your goal. And so I opened this email, and it's a training program being sold, and she was talking about a 10-day program on how to change the way you eat. And I attended the course, finished the course, and long story short, within the next 100 days, I dropped 15 kilos. Wow. I did that. Never mind, I had been going to the gym for 6 years. Never mind, even during COVID, every day, and I've said I used to sit down a lot. That does not change the fact that I walked at least 6 to 7, sometimes 10 kilometers every day. None of that changed my weight until I saw it, until I felt it. The next problem was a great one. I needed new clothes. Girls, you can relate. Very, very good problem to have. And so I'm here to tell you this. Your dream is true. Your dream is not going to come true. Your dream is not likely to come true. Your dream is over. Because why is your dream true? Because creation is finished, and all you have to do is to experience your dream. I want to give you 3 steps to experiencing your dream, and then I will be out of here. The first thing you want to do is the most obvious thing. Allow yourself to want what you want. Allow yourself to want it. This might sound very obvious, but there's a lot of things we are not allowing ourselves to want. You know why you're going to have 1 billion this year? Is because you didn't want it last year. Allow yourself to want something. I knew a gentleman growing up who lived in the village, and he loved to live in the city. How do I know? He found every excuse to come to Nairobi, and when he came to Nairobi, he stayed in our house. And I remember growing up and thinking, has he considered moving to the city? There's some things you figure you're not worthy of, or you think it's a very big dream for you, or you haven't seen anybody do it before, and so you think it's not for you, and it's for them, and it's not for us. Allow yourself to want what you want. Catch a very clear picture of what it is that you want, and stay true to that picture. Stay true to that picture. Don't let your want be a number. Let your want be a thing or an experience. Let it be something you can touch and feel and smell, because that is what will drive you. The number written down may not drive you, but the feeling will drive you. Now, once you do that, go within. Experience that thing as often as possible, and especially when you're getting to go to bed in the evening. Because why did God finish creation on the 6th day? He had created the next creator. Go as often as possible. Remember my favorite road in Nairobi? Now I get to drive there on a daily basis. I would just drive there, I would just get the feeling. I just liked the place. It just looks nice, and if I name the road, you will agree with me. It's a beautiful, beautiful road. It's a nice place to drive through. Experience it. Say this to yourself. It is achievable. It is achievable by me. Say that after me. It is achievable. It is achievable by me. Even if you haven't ever seen it achieved, even if you don't know anybody personally who has achieved it, even if you don't know what it looks like and you have to Google. Are we not in the technology age? Get the feeling of having it and say to yourself, it's achievable by me. Number 2, follow your gut. Follow your gut. Your gut is also known as your intuition. Your intuition is also known as your inspiration. There's a lot of ways to look at it. But there's a cliche that says prayer is you talking to God. Intuition is God speaking back to you. A lot of times we talk to God and talk to God and talk to God, but we don't listen to God. God speaks to you in your gut. God speaks to as many of us as are in this room. You do not need a prophet or anybody to hear God on your behalf. God speaks to you. He speaks in a still, small voice. You get a knowing. It doesn't necessarily come in word. I can't tell you how it comes, because God has as many ways of speaking as people seated here. How I hear him is not how you hear him. But you will hear, you will feel a nudge. If you ever feel, call this person. Even if you spoke to them yesterday, just call them. If you ever feel, cancel this meeting. If something happens to you in traffic and you're not able to make a meeting, don't sweat it. That might be the voice of God. Follow your gut. And while you're doing that, don't necessarily tell everybody what your dream is. I like the person who said it this way. Don't let your mouth say what your clever heart knows. Me, I'm the one who knows it's 50 million. It's a political year. If today I went and sat down my family and told them I'm running for Senator of Nairobi, what would they tell me? Sasa wewe. Honestly. Or you go to your team and tell them, this year I'm going to achieve X number of sales. If you haven't done that before, what are they likely to tell you? Just manage your expectations. Manage your expectations. Why can't you wait? You're not qualified, you're not old enough, you're not tall enough, People always have things to tell you. Very well-meaning people, by the way, have things to say to you that will bring down your dream. True or false? Don't necessarily verbalize your dream. Feel it within. Your conversation with God does not need to have anybody else present. Nobody needs to know what I'm going for. Because if I have felt it, I'm the one who knows why I'm acting the way I am. Some of the things I'm asking to you to do will sound crazy. If you start telling people I'm going to drive through a particular neighborhood every Saturday morning, what are they going to think? You've lost it. You finally lost it. I mean, look at it this way. If I had told my family that after 6 years of faithfully going to the gym, I finally want to lose 15 kilos, what would they have told me? Especially if you're in a particular age group. By then, your weight likes you. Your kilos are familiar with you. They like going around with you. They're not going to leave you easily. So you do not invite all of this discouragement from the neighbors, from the friends, from people you know and trust. Keep your thoughts to yourself, keep your dreams to yourself, but follow your gut. Remember, God speaks to you as an individual. What you're doing need never have been done before, need never have been seen before. So if you look odd doing it, allow yourself to look odd, okay? If no one is going to approve of it, like when I was buying my dream car, it was not a reasonable decision. It was not a reasonable decision. Finance experts would have told me, no, invest in lands. I'm like, no, I will drive to those lands in my dream car, okay? Your dream may not be what people approve of, so follow your gut. Just follow your gut and end up achieving your dream. Step number 3, banish your doubt. Banish your doubt. Very often thoughts will come to you that will tell you this thing is not doable. Evidence will tell you this is an election year. Friends will tell you it's looking very hot today. We may not be able to achieve our goal. We may not be able to reach our dream. Whenever you have those thoughts, go back to your dream. Go back within. See it again. Feel it again. Whenever I went through something that was a challenge to me, I would look out the window and I would see the car. Remember, I'm the only person who is seeing the car. Remember, what is parked in my parking is the old car. It's not the new one. But what am I seeing? The new one. The way you override your doubts is to capture the picture. Now that's where it helps to have pictures of it, to get a sign, you know. You're the one who knows what this thing needs, what this thing means to you. For a very long time, when I needed to remember something, I would wear my watch on my right hand. So that when it feels uncomfortable, it feels unfamiliar, right? So I will remember there's something I needed to do. Find something that reminds you of your dream. Don't let anybody know what that sign is. Buy yourself a ring to wear, to place a picture on your desk. You're the one who knows what this thing means. None of us need to understand it. But have something that appeals to your senses, either to your sight, either to your hearing. If there's a song that you play, and I love the use of songs here. If there's a song that you play that energizes you, play it. Play it as often as you can. You're the one who knows what those words are saying to your spirit, right? Make sure that you go there as often as possible, because that is going to banish your doubt. Now, in order to banish your doubt, there are two things you want to do. Be very, very careful of your conversation. Be very, very careful of your conversation. Sometimes we joke ourselves out of our dream. Because you get in a conversation that is saying that the economy is bad. And because the person saying that is your friend, unachangia. Enyewe ni kubaya. Enyewe ni kubaya, hata sisi tunang'ang'ana hapa. I do not enter those conversations. I'm in a WhatsApp group with the people who went to school with me. Our class, we're in a particular WhatsApp group. And I'll tell you my age myself. But there's two things I won't do about my age. I never call myself old, and I never wear grey. Those are two things I don't do. My hairdresser knows. I don't wear. I'll tell you my age. My age is a public factor. I'm this age as opposed to being dead, right? Because the day I was born, I was born. So I don't have a problem with my age. But there are two things I don't do. I don't call myself old, and I don't wear grey at all. Unlikely to happen. So I'm in this group with my friends. And whenever we find another person from our class, we very excitedly add them on the group. Yay, guys, I found so-and-so, here she is, and then you add her on the group. And then most people will say, please share a picture, we can't remember who that is, and all of that. And you know how many of them word it? Atunajua sisi siku hizi ni wazee. Hata hatukumbuki. And one day I said, have you ever noticed when you start talking like this, I exit the conversation? You guys feel free to be old. Feel free to start saying my memory is failing, because the world was made of words. What raw material did God use to make the world? Wow. Let there be, and there was. Kama economy ni ngumu. Okay, choose your words carefully. Now, this is easier said than done, especially for those of us who are talkative. And the majority of people in the room are. You would rather keep quiet. Kuna conversations, you put some water in your mouth and you keep it there. So that you don't, because the things that you're saying are going to become flesh and blood in your life. You would rather keep quiet. And if you have something has slipped out and you have said, if you have said that, even to a beggar, I tell beggars, no, I'm not giving you money. I never tell a beggar I don't have money. What are you talking about? I have money. I'm just not giving it to you. Don't tell beggars sina pesa. The world is made of words. Don't tell your relatives you don't have school fees. Tell them I'm not paying. Learn to pay your own bills. I have finished my kitty for Matanga this month. I've just finished my kitty. Okay? But don't say sina pesa. Don't let that come out of your mouth. That is going to be feeding your doubt. You know the story of the guy who had 2 dogs. Do you know that story? A guy had 2 dogs, the big ones, Rottweilers, the big ones. One was white and one was black. And then they said, which one of these ones is going to run faster? Which one will do better? Which one will be fiercer? And I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, of course, which one is going to do. And then the guy is saying, the one you're feeding. The dog that gets fat, the dog that wins the battle, the dog that runs faster is the dog you're feeding. So, the energy you're feeding, if the energy you're feeding is nikubaya, nikugumu, that is the animal that grows. But if you say it's a lovely day, try that. Try that. Wake up on the day none of your senses are agreeing. None of the things that you're seeing, the things that you're hearing, the things that you're feeling, none of that confirms your dream. But say to yourself, today is a fabulous day. Today is a fabulous day. See how your day goes. There's people you don't want to talk to even in the morning. There's calls I don't take in the morning. No. These people, for Truecaller, this is so and so, you get down and do 5 press-ups before you talk to this one. There's people who sap your energy. I don't know whether you have them in your family. There's people who know everything wrong with this country, everything wrong with your plan. Don't talk to those people, especially in the morning. Yes. You're giving them your day. You can't do that. Now, should it slip up and you end up saying something you shouldn't, say the opposite 20 times. It's a lovely day. It's a lovely day. It is a lovely, fantastic day. It's a great day. Today is the best day. To nullify the one time when you said Nikubaya. There's only one thing we can't touch, and that's your thoughts. And yet that is where God lives. God lives within us. God lives in our spirit, in our hearts, in our thoughts. So what we are verbalizing, what we are saying is what will feed either our doubts or feed our dream. So you want to make sure that you be careful of your conversation. And the next thing which is connected to that is be careful of your company. There's people you want to shed, period. There's just people you want to shed. Because being around them is costing you your dream. Being around them is costing you your dream. There's a song that says, Kuna watu na viatu. You know it? Yes. There's people who are very happy with your misery. You know one thing about our society? You will never gather the crowd, you will gather with your funeral. Nothing else. Maybe if you are being sworn in as president of Kenya, you might gather that crowd. But ordinary things, birthday, wedding, you will not gather the kind of crowd that you will gather with your funeral. I think that's very unfortunate about our society. But that just says that misery draws company. Misery draws company. If you're saying it's a terrible day, you have a lot of friends around you. If you call us to a pity party, there's a lot of people who will changamukia for that conversation. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube, and Catherine referred to that. It's called Life Lessons by Christine. It's on YouTube. The last time we were talking, I gave you that. It's Christine Mweteeli on YouTube, and the channel is called Life Lessons. I upload new content every week. The most watched video in my channel is entitled, I Finally Lost It All. It's a video I did on COVID when I had lost my family, lost my business, lost everything. And I was wondering what is going to be the title of this video. And because I know human beings like misery, I wrote there, I finally lost it all. I was trying to launch my new business. I was trying to get people, I got them like this. Because people watched the video. Because the video was entitled, I finally lost it all. Go to social media, whichever one you're on, and say, I'm having a lovely day at Liberty. See how many people like it. But say, Aki Nikubaya. All the people who went to high school with you will call you. Nini. Oh yeah. Ay. Oh, Pole. Aki Pole. That's human beings for you. You want to be very careful who is in your company. There's people you cannot afford to keep in your company. I have dropped friends, I have dropped relatives. I can't afford them. I cannot afford them. If someone is between you and your dream, what do you choose? Your dream. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's other people to hang out with. Okay? Now, even if, I'm not saying delete their number, there are those you can't delete their number. But you want to minimize contact. You want to minimize contact, and you want to especially not talk to them first thing in the morning. Because these people who sap your energy, because your dream is owned by you, and your dream is true. Your dream is so true, all you have to do is to actualize it, is to experience it, is to celebrate it. If you can thank God for it before it happens. More often than not, when we are told to write a gratitude list, we superficially just write things. I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for health, I'm grateful for my family. But if you can feel grateful for it before it happens, if today you can sit down and be grateful for your dream, to actually be grateful for it, I can promise you that it will come to be. Because to have something that you've never had, you have to do something that you've never done. And to do something that you've never done, you have to be someone that you've never been. Thank you very much.
Wow. Isn't this not the greatest year we've ever had?